Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and fellow humans. Welcome to Stranded Survivors. My name is Matt, and I am one of your co-hosts today. And in fact, I am the only co-host today. Jericho is a little bit under the weather, he's not feeling very good. His voice was a little scratchy. He just had nothing in the tank right now. So he's going to take the night off, and I'm going to sort of take the helm here. And I'm going to try to deliver as much of a normal episode as I can by myself. I know normal is a funny word when I'm talking about myself because I'm a rather eccentric guy, anyone who knows me in real life. So I'm going to try to keep it, as not weird as possible and try to keep myself on track and off of any strange tangents. But that being said, give you guys a little bit of an update here. So this past week, I spoke too soon in the last episode. I talked about how I was avoiding all of the nasty, icky bugs that my kids were bringing around. And I, ran my mouth, and I shouldn't have. And I ended up with the flu. So I've been helping the kids deal with, their flu and the RSV and the double pink eye that just won't go away because my youngest got it again somehow. Oh, man. And I shouldn't say somehow. I know he got it because I'm an idiot and I misread the date on the antibiotic, so I stopped it early, and yeah, I'm embarrassed to admit that out loud. I shouldn't even say that, but it's the truth, and it happens, so hey, we're all human, we all make mistakes. But, he's fighting that again, and I'm now starting to feel, a little bit back to normal, back to my old self, get my little pizzazz back into me, and I'm hoping that he's going to follow suit too. He's officially, cleared to go back to daycare and stuff like that, so he's going to get back to normal. My oldest is back to normal, my wife and I are back to normal, and hopefully life can continue on before the sicknesses. As far as Ark goes, I am still dedicating all of my Ark time to my single-player server. My son and I have been doing, a little bit of building, and he's 4 now. He just celebrated his birthday. So shout out to you, Beckett. I'm sure you're gonna hear this eventually one day. So happy birthday, love you, bud. And we also had in the Discord, Megan S. Games had a birthday. So make sure to wish them happy birthday if you haven't already. Go ahead and @ them, blow up their inbox, and it's going to be a good time. Everybody loves a good birthday wish. So spread the cheer there. Yeah, but like I was saying, my single player server with my son, yeah, see, tangents already. We have been focusing a lot on teaching him the building mechanics. He's only 4, so he doesn't really understand how any of that works, but he built his first box. I was able to coach him through that. He's got a little beach box. He's quite proud of it. He has a couple of dodos and one of the name escapes me right now, but one of the turtles. And he just has them on follow all, and he runs around like the general perimeter of his box and, just has an absolute blast as they're following him. And he's dead convinced that they follow him because they love him, not because they're whistled. And anytime one of them attacks a dino that's about to attack him or had recently attacked him that he didn't notice, he'll sit there and scold them. And he named his turtle Salad. So, Salad, I told you to stop eating those dinosaurs. You be nice, Salad, or you're gonna go home. And it's wholesome, it's really wholesome. So that's been my life in a nutshell for the past week or so. Moving forward into our first segment that I'm going to do here is the Dino Dossier of the Week. So this week, we've got a bit of a funky one, the funky donkey, if you will. The Dunkleosteus is a dinosaur that I feel like doesn't really get the credit it deserves. In Survival Evolved, it was always, the goofy, awkward, older cousin of the Megalodon that nobody really did much with or talked about. And as I've learned more about this creature, I want to put a little spotlight on that bad boy, and I want to give you guys a second to appreciate it in all of its glory. So I'm going to pull up here with a quick stalling clickety-click. This is a survival dossier written by Helena, our girl Helena Walker. We all know and love her. The Dunkleosteus loricoruptor. It was from the late Devonian period, and it is a carnivore, but it has a docile temperament, it says. Wild, the Dunkleosteus lorica, we're going to call it the donkey, is a very large, is a very strange creature. It is a fairly large fish covered head to tail in armored plates with incredibly powerful jaws. It tends to eat the island's water-dwelling crustaceans trawling the seabed, as it is not fast enough to catch most of the smaller fish. Dunkleosteus is surprisingly combat-oriented for a fish. Its well-armored body protects it from many creatures, while its bite is strong enough to easily crush through chitinous shells. Domesticated. Yeah, I stumbled through that one there, didn't I? Domesticated. Dunkleosteus is an incredibly useful fish for coastal communities. Its powerful jaws make short work of the stone and oil formations found throughout the oceanic depths. While harvesting, Dunkleosteus can defend its riders from all but the largest threats in the waters. And once it is past its prime, the Dunkleosteus itself can be harvested for a fair amount of chitin. So, what I'm hearing just from the dossier itself is that, the fact that it's covered head to tail in armored plates makes me wonder. I had heard at one point, I can't confirm or deny as to whether this is true or not, but because of the armored plates on its head, in the process of taming it, my current understanding, true or not, is that headshots actually do less damage and less torpor to the donkey because of its armor plates. So, fun fact there, building off of what she said in the wild one. And the fact that it's a combat-oriented fish, that son of a gun can bite like a Mack truck. So if you get in its way, it's going to hit hard. It doesn't quite bite like a Giga does, but it definitely is going to do damage to the point where if you don't have a pretty high HP tame, it's going to have some troubles there. And where it says domesticated there, I'm going to get into, as I get a little bit further down into the, wiki here, it's going to talk more about its harvesting capabilities here. But behavior-wise, it says the Dunkleosteus is a slow, cumbersome fish that slowly wanders the depths of the ocean. It will not deter from its path to attack players, but if it is hurt by any creatures, players included, or a player gets too close, it will attack without mercy. If the attacker can hold its position, the Dunkleosteus will flee. So, it's not going to seek you out, once again, because it's so slow. But if you get too close to take a little look, or, if you're getting ready to tame it, or if you're kung fu fighting underwater or something like that, it's going to get a little sassy about it. So, let me scrolly. Now, when we're looking at its stats, it is pretty okay as far as health goes, but it really shines in the weight and the melee damage department, and then its torpidity as well. So it's going to be a tough knockout. I think it's a knockout tame, but fair warning, it's going to be a tough knockout with the high torpor there. Yeah, KO strategy. So yeah, it just, fair warning. We'll get into some of the items later on because, spoiler alert, this episode is all about the ocean. Ugh. So we'll get into some of the stuff that we'll use later. But, your standard knockout taming method. Now, when you're talking fighting it, it's got a lot of health, like I talked about. It's got a lot of, really strong bites, and they seem to come out of nowhere, similar with everything else in the ocean, right? So when you're in the ocean, it's pretty easy to get ambushed, especially if you don't have your settings set up to the point where it's going to get rid of the fog and make it a little easier to see. And, I'm having all these flashbacks right now. So, spoiler alert, it can bite through stone, okay? So a Dunkleosteus is one that in a PvP setting, this is where Jericho would have shined. In a PvP setting, it's going to be able to bust through stone, so you're going to be able to use it to access bases and underwater areas if it's built from stone or lower, okay? So keep that in mind, because, it said in the dossier that it likes to nom 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 on stone and oil. But the fact, again, for the PvP stuff, they're so slow. They can't turn. They're like a semi-truck. So it's going to take, a pretty specific niche area to be useful as far as fighting goes. But it is going to do really solid damage to stone structures. So that's where it's going to shine in the PvP raid area. As far as gathering goes, it's really good at collecting oil and stone, like it mentioned, and it can also get black pearls from the Eurypterids, I believe, is what I'm seeing here. Big old question mark in the high-pitched voice. So it's got a 50% weight reduction on black pearls, crystal, metal, 75% on obsidian, 50% on stone, and 50% on oil. So those are all, I want to repeat that, 50% on black pearl, crystal, metal, oil, and stone, and 75% on obsidian. Now, wild, right? So you're going to be able to carry a buttload, a whole Dookieville load. This is going to be where it shines. It has super high weight capacity to begin with, and then it has this massive weight reduction. So all of these awful resources, like I had mentioned, all of them twice, these are heavy, cumbersome resources that unofficial, without unlimited weight, it gets tough. It gets tricky to manage how you're going to go on this crystal run and come back with 6k crystal. But this donkey seems to be, a pretty good workaround because it's a 5-star gatherer of oil, crystal, and wood because, there's all those underwater trees, a 4-star stone, and a 4-star metal and 3-star black pearl gatherer. So it's pretty high quality. I'd say this is something that, if you haven't already utilized one in your tribe for PvE harvesting resources or PvP harvesting and raids, I would honestly recommend that you look into getting one because that all sounds pretty solid to me. Anything to make your life easier in the ocean, I'm here for it because the ocean sucks, right? At least in my opinion. Which, actually is a pretty halfway decent segue here from the dossier into our main title content here. We are talking all things Unda da sea. So when we're talking going in the ocean, first off, you got to put your big boy pants on. Maybe bring a change of underwear if you're like me and you got some thalassophobia going on. But you need to come prepared. Similar to when QC Survivor and I were talking in our caving episode, you need to come prepared because being unprepared in the ocean is a death sentence. That is guaranteeing yourself to die. You need to make sure you got all your ducks in a row. You double and triple check your gear, your scuba tanks, all that fun stuff. Think about where you're going, what you're going to be doing, and how long you're going to be down there. Because a primitive scuba tank, I don't have it right in front of me. I should have it. I want to say it's like 20 minutes for an oxygen tank, maybe. I'll pull it up as I'm talking here. And when I get into the scuba tank stuff, we'll go into it. But it doesn't offer a whole lot of time. So when you're packing all of your stuff, you got to make sure you've got, extras. Make sure you've got more than you need as long as weight's not a major concern. You don't want to overweight yourself and, get yourself trapped in the ocean there. But you definitely want to come prepared because if you do not have your scuba tanks, once again, it's 30 minutes. There we go. I stalled long enough. So 30 minutes per primitive tank. If you have a higher quality tank, it'll go up from there. An Ascendant one will do you better than primitive one, but 30 minutes on a primitive. So that's going to be all of my basis when I'm talking about timing, talking about gear and all that stuff. I am basing it on primitive things with the assumption that we do not have any blueprints yet, if you have blueprints, then go ahead and utilize those, obviously. But so when we're talking going underwater, first things first, scuba armor. Scuba armor, it is something that does not offer a whole lot of protection like we said last week when we were talking about the different armor types. It doesn't offer a whole lot protecting you from damage, but it is going to offer that insulation that you need to not freeze underwater, and it's going to also offer, each one has like a little buff to it that it helps you underwater a little bit. So you're going to need level 81 to craft it like we said last week. And that's really no laughing matter. That's going to take you a minute. So going into the ocean, at least going very deep into the ocean, is going to sort of be, I would call that a mid to late game type of thing. I'm going to say mid game because, leveling up isn't too hard if you know what you're doing. But once you hit that level 81, or if you have a tribe mate who is level 81, they're able to craft all of that for you. Now, when we're talking crafting that stuff, it is going to take, like we said last week, again, sorry, I'm sort of recapping some of that, but 87 hide, 23 fiber, 12 chitin or keratin, 16 ingots, 6 cementing paste, 7 silica pearls, 43 polymer, 10 crystal. That's going to craft you a full set here. Now, the scuba mask is going to allow you to see a whole lot better, but it sort of restricts the vision that you got there. It says on the wiki as if you're looking through a mask. You know those little diving masks that it is one big circular window for like both of your eyes? It goes over your nose there. It has that outline and it blocks everything around it. I mean, it's not too bad, but it says if you're riding in third person, you will not receive the enhanced vision. So it's still going to restrict you. It's going to give you that little like outline, widescreen, if you will, but it's not going to give you that benefit. So make sure you're in first person if you're utilizing that. If you have the little, golly willikers, what's the name of the when you open up the console commands and you can get rid of like the fog and stuff like that, there's a couple different settings that escape me at the moment that you can utilize to make sure you can see underwater. There's videos for that all over the place. I think Jericho actually posted one to our YouTube. But if you have those settings set up correctly, like I do not at the moment, then you don't really need a mask because your visibility will be fine to the point where it's not going to make that big of a difference, if you will. The scuba tank, again, it restores 20 oxygen per second. It gives you 30 minutes to breathe underwater. So if you only have enough resources to craft 1 or 2, a very, very, very click and attention intensive method would be to, fill your oxygen, take off the oxygen tank, go until you start to drown, put it back on, and then like continue to flip-flop that way. That would make it, last a lot longer, but it's also very click intensive and is going to delay whatever you're working on because you're going to have to continue, pausing to switch it back and forth. So I wouldn't really recommend that. I would recommend waiting until you have the ability to craft multiple. But if you're like a real eager beaver and you only have the ability to make one, then go nuts. That's my only recommendation for you, I guess. It says whether you're in the water or not, durability is going to go down while you're wearing it. So make sure if you're wearing it, you need it. If you're getting out of the water to do something like going in one of the pearl caves we're going to talk about later, make sure you take your stuff off when you get off your tam and get out of the water. All right, moving on to the leggings. The leggings give you 200 cold protection while you're in the water. But when you're on land, it doesn't really do anything for you. So outside of the ocean, they're completely worthless. But underwater, that's a big buff for your cold protection there. So again, not mandatory depending on what your fortitude level is. But if you're struggling with the cold, then the scuba leggings will be a big helper there. The scuba flippers, on the other hand, it says that multiplies your swim speed by 2.5, but it slows your walking speed on land. So while you're in the water, it makes you a heck of a lot able to avoid the predators that are coming at you. It's going to make you able to, outswim some things, but not everything. I highly recommend them. I, again, am all for anything that is going to help you survive and anything that's going to take away a little bit of the spookiness of the ocean. And a set of flippers is great, especially when you get off your tame to go do something. That always seems to be when something attacks you. As soon as you get off, you're hitting a loot crate or something, and you turn around and there's like 8 eels right around the corner, coming to welcome you to the neighborhood, and you're like, oh crap, this is not good. Similarly, along the lines of defending yourself here, so let me close some of my tabs here and keep myself organized. The harpoon launcher. So that is something that, yeah, you can use a crossbow. That's an option, sure. But it doesn't do as much damage underwater as you would think it would. It's not nearly as effective. But the harpoon launcher is something that is going to be extremely effective at killing things, and you can also use it to knock things out as long as you have the trank spear bolt in there instead of the regular spear bolt. The cool thing about that ammunition, sure, it's a little expensive to make, but as long as it's not broken, you can recover it. So if you're shooting your spear bolts there and you don't make good contact or something like that, as long as it's not hitting the ground, it's going to be able to be picked up, is my understanding. When you're shooting it underwater, it's got a lot bigger range than it does above the water. That's another one of those things that, it doesn't seem to really do as great out of the water, similar to the flippers. The spear bolts that I'm talking about, those are smaller than the ballista turret ones, so don't get that confused. I can't remember if the ballista turret's in Survival Ascended or not, but if it is, don't get those ones confused, because that's not the same engram, and I'd hate for you to waste your points there. And the last thing about that, when you're going to eventually, you're going to be able to utilize them, the harpoon launcher, that is, with a net gun, or with a, shoot, man, I'm struggling with my words here, the net projectile. You can use that net projectile to whoosh and trap things up. Super useful for taming flying objects and stuff like that are not too big for it. But that's not going to come out until Genesis, I think, if I remember correctly. So, fun fact there, keep on the lookout for that. I might be incorrect in that. Someone at me in the Discord and let me know if I'm wrong, because I certainly do enjoy being corrected. I know that sounds weird to say, I enjoy being corrected, but like, if I'm spreading misinformation, for the love of God, please stop me. Alright, so we talked about some of the items that you're going to need going into the ocean. Now I want to talk creatures that you're going to face. This is not necessarily all of them, and I'm certainly not going to go into depth in most of them, but I want to give you at least a brief overview in case, you're one of the people like me that says that, the ocean is for the birds, well, the fish, I guess, the water birds, I don't know. If the ocean's not for you, then you might not be familiar with some of these creatures, and I don't want you to be caught off guard like I was by a handful of them. So the first one I want to talk about is the ammonite. You get the ammonite bile from killing it. However, I should have done that one for the dossier. It's not nearly as useful, but it's got a very interesting dossier. It sort of talks about how like everything in the ocean loves it or befriends it and will come to its aid. So the ammonite bile, when you attack it, if I remember correctly, it releases its cloud of whachaw, and when it does that, it acts as a rare flower for you, and everything is going to come at you with a vengeance. So I highly recommend that you avoid those, and if you're going to pick a fight with them, kill them very quickly, or make sure that you are alone. The anglerfish, that's another one that is worthy of a Dino Dossier of the Week. So the anglerfish, as hideously cute as they are great at harvesting pearls. You can sit on the back of it and you can just chomp, 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 chomp and collect pearls. And when you do that, you're able to not only move very quickly, you harvest them very quickly, you harvest them in great amounts. They are extremely beneficial for harvesting underwater pearls. Must have for a tribe. The Basilosaurus. That bad boy is immune to the torpor shock of eels and jellyfish. So make sure you have one of those if you're going into one of the caves, or, just generally speaking, if you're going to do some exploration and you don't have to have your squid or your mosa or anything, I recommend taking a basil whenever possible, just because of that shock protection. And speaking of shock protection, we got the, I don't know if the C is silent or not, the Cnidaria, the freaking jellyfish, man. I got beef with jellyfish in real life. So, story time. Story time. Yep, gonna go there. We're gonna go there. I'm gonna traumatize all you guys like I got traumatized. So, if you don't want to hear a bit of a funky story, go ahead and fast forward about a minute. But when I was like 7 or 8, I went down, was hanging out in the Carolinas with my grandparents. I used to go down there for the summer sometimes and, hang out with them. I didn't get to see them often, so it was a really special time to spend the summer with them. And my Nana would take me to the beach quite often, and I was learning how to body surf, and I thought it was the coolest thing because, you could watch and go down the waves and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. For a little kid, I thought I was, Malibu Mr. Surfer over here, and I am doing my thing, and one of the waves crashes. I crash into the sand and stuff. I get up, and all of a sudden I feel this funky pain, and I'm like, oh, that hurts really bad. And I'm like, trying to be tough because there's like a bunch of people standing there watching me. And then all of a sudden the pain gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And then I look down, and there is indeed a jellyfish stuck in the netting of my bathing suit. So, yup, I'm reliving it. I'm having me a little mini anxiety attack just thinking about it. It was awful. It really put a damper on the vacation. The scene in Finding Nemo where Dory gets stung by all the jellyfish, every single time I'm like, it's okay. So jellyfish, another reason every time I see a jellyfish in the water, I want to kung fu fight him, punch him in the face. If I got my Basil, I go out of my way to make sure I kill every single one of them, hoping, that I can make the stupid jellyfish go extinct in Ark. Yeah, we can get into a whole debate about the usefulness of jellyfish in real life and whether or not I think they should all get punched in the face. I tried to conquer my fear. There was a touch tank at some Ripley's aquarium that I went to one time, and they had these, I forget what they were called, like moon bell jellyfish or something stupid like that you're allowed to touch on top, just don't touch on the side or blah, 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 blah. And I touch it on top, and all these little kids are touching it before me, and one floats by at the perfect angle and gets me on the side, and that one didn't hurt, but it was just enough to startle you. Stupid jellyfish, man. Punch them all in the face. Anyway, holy rabbit trail. See, that's why I gotta have Jericho. Jericho stops me, and I can cut all this stuff out. But now you guys get stuck with it. The coelacanth. So those are the little herring-looking, trout, cod-looking fish thing that are just swimming around. You see them in every body of water. They're there. They're cool. They're pretty sometimes. That's about it. The Dunkleosteus, we went over those. Those are pretty solid. Again, highly recommend those. The Electrophorus, however you want to pronounce it. Electrophorus, that's fun to say. That is the electric eels. Those bad boys are fast, they're mean, and they're mad. And they will ruin your day. That is what, when I went into the hard ocean cave the one time with our one and only ichthy that we had, that was what knocked me off the back of that dolphin there and rocked my world. So, highly recommend you got a Basil to avoid that because they really put a damper on your exploration. The Eurypterids, I'm pretty sure those are in Survival Ascended. They're like the little scorpion things. I'm pretty confident I've seen them in there. I think they're much smaller and less threatening than they used to be. If I remember correctly, they were absolute menace to society in Survival Evolved, but they, to my knowledge, I'm pretty sure they're in Survival Ascended, but I'm really doubting myself right now. But they don't seem to be nearly as scary as they were if they are. The Ichthyosaurus, that is the dolphin. So the ichthy is like a fighter jet. It might not necessarily have bombs and machine guns equipped to it, but that bad boy is going to zip by at Mach 10. So if you need to get in and out of something quickly, you need to get across the map quickly, you're doing some exploration that does not necessarily involve, combat. Maybe you're taming something and you just want to, get a good lead on it and be able to lure it. The ichthy is your best friend. The Leopleurodon. I don't know enough about that. I know that that's very shameful to admit. That is a dino that it gives you things when you tame it, I guess. It's not something you keep, and when you tame it, it gives you pretty sweet resources. So I think it's a temporary tame once you get it, but it's like a unicorn. There's only one in the map. It's like an ocean unicorn. So if you see one, make sure you go through the effort of taming it, because I remember Aaron Aztec, when he was on our episode for the trivia, he had talked about how he didn't tame one in one of his 100-day videos, and everybody lost their mind. So if you see one, tame one. The manta, those bad boys are always huddling around a Basil like a calf around a cow. They are always hanging out in a large group, and when they attack, they can hit hard. They nibble like 1,000 little bites, but when they bite you, all of it adds up eventually, and it does a lot of damage. So you gotta not take them too lightly. make sure you're getting a good move on them and don't let them pin you down, because they are, there's my furnace in the background for you. They are a species that will definitely pin you down very quickly and can mess up your whole day. Alright, furnace is off, so now we're ready to continue again. The mantas, though, like I said, from my boy Steve Irwin, every time I see the mantas, try to clear them out, so that way I feel like I'm getting some vengeance for my childhood there. Megalodon, that is a tried and true, everybody knows the Megalodon. It's everybody's favorite ocean dino when you're a little kid. There's all sorts of movies about him now. There is an alpha variant in the ocean that is, extra spooky, extra bitey, but the Megalodon is, I would say, relatively average in terms of damage, in terms of speed, in terms of stamina. Like, it's just your average ocean tame. It's nothing to shake a stick at. If you don't have an ocean tame yet, a Meg is still a great one. I'm not trying to doo-doo on your Meg that you're proud of, but I'm just saying it's not anything that's extra noteworthy as far as ocean goes. The Mosa, that's a little bit more noteworthy. The Mosasaur, that is like a bit of a wet giga, if you will. So the Mosa is going to hit hard. It's going to be able to carry a decent amount. I'm pretty sure you can put can you put a platform saddle on a Mosa? Huh. I know you can on the Plesiosaur. That one's next. That's the slightly less fearsome cousin to the Mosa. It hits a little bit less. It's got that really long, goofy neck. So it's like a long neck, but underwater and with sharp, spiky teeth. A little bit spooky, but it's, not anything too crazy. I've seen a lot of them in mated pairs, so I think, someone correct me, but I'm pretty sure they travel in pairs, because it seems like where there's one, there's a second one close by, almost always. And then the last ocean creature here that I'm going to spend some time on is the Tusoteuthis, the squid. So, yes, extra spooky. Yes, extra bitey. It will grab your tame. It will hold it like a rattle in its hand, and it will not let go. So when you go to tame it, make sure you have a sacrificial tame like a turtle or a bassel or something that has a decent amount of health to it, that it can sit there and get held by the squid and not die in 4 bites. And then you have to go up like a psychopath and you have to force feed this freaking squid black pearls. So that's, pretty sketchy to begin with. So no thank you. If I'm ever going to acquire a squid, it will be through trading. I can promise you that will probably be the one creature that prevents me from getting the achievement for taming them all. Because, on like an auto taming thing, with extra boosted taming, it wouldn't be too bad, because, like, sure, I can scream really loud while I sprint forward and feed it 1 black pearl. But having to do that for like an hour and a half, oh my goodness. Having to do anything underwater for an hour and a half, no. I'm not that guy. When we're talking underwater, the resources that you're going to be getting, pearls and black pearls. I'll talk about the pearl caves here in a minute, because there are 12 distinct caves that you can go in to get a boatload of pearls. And then there's black pearls. Black pearls can sometimes passively be found by otters as they're eating fish. It can be harvested from trilobites if you're lucky and if you're doing it properly. And you get a majority of them from squids. So when you kill a squid, you're going to get the tentacles, you're going to get the black pearls, and those black pearls are used to craft a lot of late game things. They're used to craft a lot of tech stuff. It's used to craft like a motorboat and the camera. So late game, you're going to need those, unfortunately. You're going to find a lot of oil. The rocks that are like leaking, it almost looks like they're smoldering. They have like a black shimmer coming off of them into the water. Those are oil rocks. You can get them with a pickaxe. You can get them with your donkey. Whatever you're doing, that's where you're going to find them. The other way to get them is from like dung beetles and stuff like that is the other way to get oil. So if you can get a Dunkley Osteus and go out and just get a boatload of oil, be good for a while, you'll be good. And I feel like it's silly to mention this, but it's still worth noting. Fiber. When you see like the seaweed type plant thingies, they're in a lot of rivers and stuff like that are like maybe 9 to 10 feet deep. So not too deep, but deep enough to swim in. You can just harvest ridiculous amounts of fiber from those plants. So if you're in the area and you don't feel like, making a sickle or anything like that, you can just go ahead and crawl down into the ocean and grab you some fiber. Talking pearl caves here. So silica pearls, the white pearls that you use to make electronics and stuff like that, there are 12 caves, and I'm about to rapid fire some coordinates for you. So if you would like to write them down, if you would like to, save this moment in the episode to review or whatever, write this timestamp down, because the coordinates to the 12 caves, in really no particular order because I wrote them down in a really goofy way, like the weird ADHD brain that I am: 10.5, 38.6, 7.8, 89.1, 36.4, 90, 8.8, 21.8, 15.7, 9.4, 51.1, 11.1, 82.6, 9.4, 90.9, 14.9, 89.2, 36, 89.7, 71.7, 86.9, 89.1, and 52.7, 90.8. So those are the 12 locations that hopefully people haven't pillared off and ruined on your server, but those are the 12 spots you're going to be able to get a crap ton of pearls from. Highly recommend you give that a quick run through, maybe once or twice a week. Why not, And then the other 2 points of interest that you're going to find underwater is the artifact of the brute and the artifact of the cunning. So the entrance to the artifact of the brute is at 53.6, 10.5. That is for the Megapithecus. So you're going to need that to take on that boss. And then if you're fighting the dragon, you're going to need the artifact of the cunning. And that is the hard ocean cave. That's the Dookie cave. I don't recommend that one unless you're really, really tricked out, ready to rock and roll. But I was really humbled really, really quickly in that cave when I went in there. That is at 4595, I think, are the coordinates I have on there. So yeah. Oh yeah, resources. Don't forget metal and crystal with the Dunkleosteus and obsidian and stuff like that too. So if you can find the nodes, because I know it's pretty abundant underwater, so that's also a good thing to do underwater too, okay? Alright, so we have completed our main title content here, our little segment about that. I am going to insert a potential little break here. We're supposed to be getting ads that are automated. They got rid of the little ad where you heard my voice. So I think we should ... be getting an automated ad. And if we are, I will insert it here. So we will see you back after this short break. And if there's not one, then I can just sound crazy and ignore me. Alrighty, folks, welcome back. Or, there was my awkward pause. Either way, good to see you. Glad you're still here. If you've made it this far, you made it through the big stuff. Now we're getting to some of the more, off and fun stuff. So, not that the other stuff wasn't fun, you know what I mean? But I want to get into the creator spotlight real quick. So, last week we talked about Teacher's Game 2. This week I want to talk about Rampy. So, Rampy does a lot of 100-day videos, mainly about like taming and stuff like that. But the reason that he caught my attention this week is because I was looking through his section of videos, and he's got a whole section on like getting started videos. So he's got like his first impression into Survival Ascended. So as a Survival Evolved player, checking out Survival Ascended. He's got like making his first base, taming a raptor, taming an Argent, exploring the caves. And the thing that really drew me to him, I found this whole section based on his Exploring the Oceans video that he had posted. So it's along the lines with, the whole under the sea thing I got going on here. But Rampy, highly recommend him. And Rampy, if you listen, what's up, my man? Appreciate your content. You're doing good stuff. All right. We're gonna see. I'm motoring now. Now I'm streamlining, smooth sailing. We're staying focused. I'm trying to get myself off track here, but I'm not gonna. Last week we did that Who's That Dynamon? So for the first time, we played a little soundbite for you. We asked everybody what they thought it was. We only got 3 responses, and one of them was from me, so I feel like it doesn't count. The response that I gave, I initially didn't hear it, so I didn't hear the soundbite. I just picked a random guess. I had said Raptor. I was wrong. Once Jericho sent me the soundbite, he didn't really label it with what dino it was. He just said it was for the soundbite for the week. I had guessed that it was a mammoth after hearing it. So on the poll, the one guess that said mammoth, that was me because, that's what I would have said. However, the other 2 people that had responded to it, you were correct, because last week the soundbite that we played was the Calicotherium. Now, if you're unfamiliar with that, we can go ahead and maybe we can do some Dino Dossier stuff on them in an upcoming week, but the Calicotherium is a real fun one, so good choice on that one, Jericho. But this week, it's my turn. And I think I got one that's going to stump you guys here. We thought that last week, but for real, this is one that, I think I got you. I'm not going to give any hints. I don't want to give it away because I'm going to talk too much and make it too easy. But listen closely here to this soundbite, and you lay down in the poll what you think this is a sound of. See? So, tricky. Now, I'm going to put a few options up in the poll. One of them will possibly be correct, or maybe I'm a jerk and they're all incorrect, in which case you'll have a little section where you can, write in the question of the week what you think it was, or if you you heard it and you're like, oh, dude, that's definitely this. Even though you know it's not because it's not an option, then please leave that in the comments because I still want to know what it sounded like to you. Maybe you think it sounded like your third wife or your mother-in-law. Who knows? All jokes aside, my mother-in-law is a fantastic woman. Just joking. No, just joking about the joke. Not that she's a fantastic woman. She is a great lady. Oh, crap. Okay. All right. So tribe update real quick. Again, most of us are just straight chilling, waiting for the center to come out. And it seems BC is once again holding it down. So shout out to BC. You are the tribe. The tribe is yours. We are your children. I honestly should give you ownership of the tribe because I don't anticipate myself being a good owner moving forward. Who knows? When the center comes out, maybe I'll have a change of heart. But anyway, BC, I could talk for days about how awesome BC is. But he has gotten a bunch of otters lately. He sent a picture to the tribe chat in the Discord with a whole little otter army, I'm going to go as far as to say. And he's got red ones. He's got Valentine's Day otters, and they are so cute. So if you like otters, or if you just, want to see a cool picture of otters, head over to on the Discord where our official PVE tribe chat is, and look at that picture he posted. Because it's sweet, and it needs a little more attention than it got, I feel like, you know what I mean? Excuse me, choking to death. As far as us playing, so I don't want to say too much. I don't want to, show my cards too far, but there is a private server incoming. There will be a Stranded Survivor official private server incoming. The seats are going to be very limited. We have only X amount of people that we can let in, obviously, because of, we have to choose the amount of slots available. And like I said, I want to go over with the person who set it up. I want to go over with Jericho. I want to go over with all these things before I announce too much because, for all I know, maybe they want to be anonymous. I don't know. But long story short, there is a private server incoming, which means there's going to be more opportunities for us to create content together as far as a Stranded Survivors community goes, as far as Jericho and I go. We're going to be able to start getting out good content again, video-wise, which hopefully is going to help the TikTok and is going to help our YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to the private server incoming. I also think it's going to renew my love for the game. I think a lot of my burnout came from a lack of direction. So with a private server incoming, and with, the people that have been there for me in the game on the server with us, I am excited for that. So it's going to be a great opportunity to avoid, we talked about, that tribe that was built in our backyard. We talked about the tribes that are pillaring off pearl caves and blocking off cave entrances and stuff. You guys have heard about our gripes with some of the official tribes we got going on here. So I'm excited for just a very courteous and respectful, non-pillared world. It's going to be fantastic. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more of an update coming. Now, when we are talking question of the week is the last segment that I've got here. So last week we asked you guys, what dinos are you bringing on you with the camping trip, and where are you going? So we asked this because Jericho and I went on a random tangent about camping, if you missed the last episode. And we were talking about how, like, the Megatherium is going to get rid of all the bugs for you, and, a Therizino to, like, collect wood and stuff like that. So we were talking about stuff like that. We had 2 people answer, and before I get into who did answer, Jericho's not with me tonight, so I'm not gonna bother him because he's sick. I'm not gonna text him, but I'm half worried, and I'm half wondering if I should text him to let him know so we can start diving through and figure out, Hail Hydra, are you okay? Sonic Speed, you good, buddy? He didn't answer the question of the week, and that makes me concerned for him because he has been there every week. So I'm assuming, he's busy. He's got stuff going on. I'm not going to stress too much, but Hail Hydra, I'm thinking about you. I noticed you didn't answer, and I hope you're okay. Now, who did answer? We had Hop on Ark. My man, Hop on Ark. So he said, Otter, Megatherium, and Argentavis. Always fed fish, always warm, no bugs, and a way to fly around and still be defended and carry everything I gather back to the campsite. That is solid. I didn't think about the otter. I definitely want to change my answer, and I want to include an otter too, because that's extremely... And Argentavis too, Megatherium. Man, you had good answers. I'm going to steal your answers. I don't remember what I said last week, but I changed it. I want Hop on Ark's answers. I steal those. Second it. Also, we had Gabriel answer. Gabriel said, I'm going with Hop here with the otter. Always warm and cozy. Megatherium because of the bugs. And third, a fire wyvern to light the fire camp and protection. Okay, so I have to agree with you. Fire wyverns, they haven't been released yet, but I didn't quite specify what dinos from Ark Survival Ascended you were bringing. So touche, Gabriel. I see what you did there. If wyverns are an option, then for sure, fire wyvern would definitely be the way to go for camping, unless you can't be trusted. Smokey the Bear might have something to say about that, but aside from that, I think it's a great idea. Really, you should have something to fly around with. I can't believe I didn't say anything to fly around on. Gee whiz. Well, thank you very much to those of you that answered. I appreciate you guys engaging with the question. I hope to see more people next week. As always, I want 100 million answers. And Hail Hydra, I want to see what you have to say to this question. If you could add any sea creature or semi-aquatic creature or ocean dino, anything that goes in the water, if you wanted to add it to Ark, what would it be and why? There are a lot of very good aquatic creatures throughout history that could have been included in the ocean and Arks, but weren't. And I think they included a pretty good wide range of things in the ecosystem here, a wide array. There are a lot of good choices. They have a very balanced ecosystem. But if you could add something, what would it be? Because the Shastasaurus is cool and all, but I think there were better options they could have added. I think that, they're having so much trouble with the bases on the back and stuff like that to begin with, and the locking, connecting, and stuff like that. I think there were better options. And me personally, penguins already exist. I was going to say a penguin as a default answer for my wife. It's her favorite animal, and I know it would make her happy to see a penguin implemented more. but the Kairuku sort of has that covered. So I'm going to say it was one that was voted on a while ago. It almost made it, but not quite. Actually, it might not have almost made it. I'm not even going to say it almost made it because I don't remember how close it was. But I think an orca would be sweet. I personally am not a fan of, the ocean and water and stuff like that. But orcas are like, they're one of those things that I don't understand them, and I fear them because I don't understand them. They're giant. They have these sharp teeth. They are, monsters when it comes to seal, and they play games with them, and they're so mean. But then when it comes to human, they're so chill. Like, I don't understand them. So I would like them to be in the game partially because I think they're fascinating, and I would love to see something that would terrify a megalodon and would, help me get some vengeance on them and do some liver eating. But I just honestly want to see the dossier information on them. I want to see what Helena has to say about an orca. I want to know, what its uses would be, and that's a follow-up question. What is the use of that dino? What are you implementing, and what is it used for? An orca, it's got to be something to do with, I'm going to say, echolocation. I know dolphins and other whales use echolocation too, but I feel like it's got to have some ability related to that. So I'm going to say I want an orca to be included, and I would like it to have a left trigger echolocation attack that may be, attack in quotations of course, that maybe highlights a certain nearby resource, or maybe highlights a certain type of tame or type of creature that you wanted. Like, maybe it's like a parasaur on steroids, you know what I mean? You could go into the wheel and you could select, I want it to notify me of anglerfish, and then you can echolocation and it will highlight anglerfish as if they were, some of the like battle royale games and stuff like that can outline enemies as their footsteps and stuff like that. I would like to see this red glowing outline around whatever creature that I echolocation target. A little bit tough, I know. I don't know if it would work that way, but free ideas, wildcard. Hire me. So feel free, add in the community question section. You will find that question. I am very curious. Please let me know. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you guys. As I've mentioned in the past, it's a little awkward for me. I'm a socially awkward fella. So sitting here and rambling by myself is a little awkward, but I appreciate you guys. I want to put out content for you guys so that way you don't have to wait a whole week, and I hope that it wasn't, too rough to get through. So if you made it this far, you are a goat, as always. I greatly appreciate you guys giving me your time every week, and I look forward to spending next week with you guys as well. Our Discord, our email, our TikTok, YouTube, all our social medias are right below in the link. As soon as you hit the little see more right below, you don't even have to hit see more to see the Discord. So if you're not a member of the Discord yet, we would love to see you there. I'm trying to get my target up. We're trying to get up to 200 people this year, like we had said before. And in a couple years, I'm sure we'll laugh about the number 200 because our community is going to continue to grow. But that starts with you. So click that link, join on in, get ready to meet some new friends. And everybody, I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday. See you later, Beach Bobs.